All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the First City Podcast, episode 5. Got a great show for you guys today. We're sitting down with Chase Chovan, owner of the Monkey's Uncle Tattoo Shop, which is located right over the Putnam Street Bridge on the west side of Marietta. Sat down for a tattoo session, took 3 hours, and I gave a YouTube exclusive video interview portion, completely different than the podcast questions and whatnot. So make sure to go over to our YouTube page and watch that. It is YouTube First City Podcast, and it's nearly an hour's worth of extra footage from this week, including a store tour, if you will. And I had a great time talking with him. Other things going on, we did not get to sit down and do our interview that we had planned with the people from For Goodness Snakes about the Jungle Jam Expo. I will go ahead and pass along the information that it is coming up this weekend, the 23rd. I believe it starts around noon, and it's at the Washington County Fairgrounds building. Going to have a live DJ, face painting, exotic animals, food, drink, all kinds of local vendors. It's all family event. Make sure to go out and support all of our local crafters and vendors, and I think it's a great thing, and I'll definitely be there with my kids. Looking forward to seeing some exotic pets that we wouldn't get to see otherwise. So thank you to For Goodness Sake for putting on such a cool event. Other things going on around town, we got the Marietta Main Street are running their flower basket campaign. If you're looking to help beautify downtown Marietta and you want to make a donation to buy a flower basket that'll be hung on the street posts through spring, check out their Marietta Main Street Facebook page, as well as they're bringing back the Wine and Chocolate Walk on May 18th. I don't have a lot of details yet on that one. I will be a participating store, and I'm not sure if it'll be a wine or chocolate. I'm more of a beer guy, but I'll switch some wine. No problemo. Jumping into spring, coming up springtime at First City Records, it'll be the season of peace and love. We're going to be redoing all of our retail side of things with new displays, all new inventory with the peace and love vibe kind of thing going on. And if there's anything that you want us to get for the store that I'm not supplying, just holler out at me. I have no ego when it comes to this stuff. Just let me know, and I'll definitely look into it if it's something that I can get and that would kind of fit the vibe of First City Records. I'm going to go ahead and jump into our interview with Chase from Monkey's Uncle Tattoo. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll be back with more information in just a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the First City Podcast studio here. I'm here with Chase Chovan, the owner of Monkey's Uncle Tattoo, located at the west side of downtown Marietta. Just got done getting a tattoo, and make sure to go over to our YouTube channel, First City Podcast on YouTube, for that bonus footage. You'll get to watch not only me get the tattoo, but we had a really nice conversation over on that bonus footage as well. So welcome in Mr. Chase Chovan, the owner of Monkey's Uncle.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, thank you for taking the time to spend the day with me.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we just got done doing the tattoo thing. And now we're kind of just gonna go through and learn a little bit about you and your small business here in Marietta. Are you from Marietta originally?
Yes, I grew up here in Norwood. Graduated high school in '86.
How long have you been doing tattoos?
Officially over 30 years. I did my first one in September of '93, and that's what I kind of go by. My apprenticeship started in May of '93.
And do you have to go to school to be a tattoo artist, or is it like a self-taught thing? Or
Well, unfortunately, both of those apply. There are schools. They're kind of frowned upon in the community a bit. The best way is an apprenticeship, where you actually work in a shop, and you start off, doing the stuff no one else wants to do, sweeping the floor, cleaning, and then you learn in stages. You start with basic things, and then you work your way up, and eventually you practice tattoo. And you can use fruits, or they make fake skin now that you can practice on.
so
Then your
you've
friends
tattooed
and
a
family.
fruit. You've tattooed fruit.
Oh yeah,
Oranges, I would say, or banana skin.
Oranges. What else? I think orange is the only fruit that I've tattooed.
Okay.
Maybe a banana. I think maybe a peel.
How old were you when you got your first tattoo?
Well, my first tattoo, I was 14, and it was a little hand poke tattoo I did myself, and a friend I let do part of it too. My first professional tattoo would have been 20. graduating college, and me and a friend decided to go get a little tattoo. And
Do you still have that age 14 tattoo, or did it get covered up over the years?
Unfortunately, I got it covered up.
Okay.
And ever since then, I regretted it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I miss that little tattoo.
Okay, so when did the idea of not only being a tattoo artist, but opening up your own store, what was the dream, and how did it come to fruition for you?
Well, it wasn't something I grew up. I mean, I always kind of wanted to be a small business owner, and like I mentioned earlier, I wanted to open a record store like yourself. But I got into tattooing. I had just moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and a friend and I, who just happened to be passing through town, stopped in a shop looking around, and the owner had mentioned in a conversation that he was looking for an artist to train as a tattooer, and my friend volunteered me. Yeah, I went to art school and liked to draw and do all that stuff. So, it was like the clouds parted, and it was the thing to do, you know. And,
Oh, what art school did you go to?
the Art Institute of Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's a good one. And
class of '89. Woo!
I noticed that you have some Pittsburgh-related tattoos there. I see the Pittsburgh Penguins, and was it behind your ears at the Steelers?
Oh yeah, go Steelers, go Pens.
All right,
all the way. Yeah, maybe not this year, but you know. So, a gentleman, John Rainey Jr. and Greg Fritz had a shop in Charlotte, North Carolina, and so they invited me in, and I worked little part-time jobs, temporary jobs, and then I would come home, clean up, and then go spend the rest of the day at the shop. And that went on for several months, and then finally, kind of September 13th, 1993, I'll never forget it. It was a Monday, and the previous day, the owner and Greg, they got into skydiving, and Greg had a hard landing and hurt his wrist. And so I show up Monday, and they're like, "Hey, man, Greg can't work right now. You're gonna get started today." So they threw me right in the mix, and I didn't charge money at first, but I started tattooing people right off the bat, and probably wasn't really ready, but you know, sink or swim, buddy. And here
trial
you go.
by fire.
Pretty much.
Do you remember
yes.
what the first human tattoo that you gave was?
Oh, absolutely. It was well, the guy I did it on was the guy that hurt his wrist skydiving, and he was a hippie and loved the Grateful Dead. Okay. So I did one of the little Grateful Dead bears on his ankle.
You know, that's cartoony. It's pretty sparse. It's just a bear. So you didn't get sent up to do a portrait or something like you did for me today. Like the tattoo you did for me today. I mean, that had to take years to perfect.
That's not
the shading and the. I can't wait for you guys to actually, who are just listening, to head over and actually see what he put on my arm today. I am so much in love with it. I can't wait to unwrap it and actually just enjoy it. And the kids are going to go nuts when they see it. They always love when Dad comes home with a new tattoo. So
awesome. Yep. So yeah, that was, you know. Then I just moved to Charlotte recently, so I knew like 4 or 5 people. So they let me do a bunch of stuff on them, and then eventually start working on customers and doing simple things, and then it just got, as I progressed, I got to do larger stuff. There was a few pieces in there that I probably shouldn't have took on, but yeah, you gotta live and learn. You gotta learn somewhere. But
at least you didn't do one of those no regrets tattoos.
But I probably did something the equivalent, I'm sure.
Have you ever given a tattoo that ended up having a spelling error or anything like that turned into a meme or somewhere down the line?
Well, not that I know that it had been a meme. I did have a tattoo that was on one of the strange tattoos people get. You see pass around on Facebook. I did chicken wings on a kid's back, and that wound up on a...
You're cutting your teeth down in Charlotte. How long were you down there? And then when did you decide, and how did you decide on coming back to the Mid-Ohio Valley and opening up a Monkey's Uncle?
Well, Charlotte ended up being about a 2-year span, and I actually moved there for a girl, and then that fell apart, and then there wasn't no reason for me to stay there anymore, and I didn't move back to Ohio. I moved to Florida and Georgia, Virginia, Indiana, and then after all that move around, I got kind of tired and decided to make a go of it back here in my hometown. Mm-hmm. But once I got into the business, I realized that's what I was going to do forever, and the natural thing is eventually open my own place, but I had nowhere near the experience I needed to do that. So I just bounced around, and some of the shops I worked at the time anyway, were world famous, and so that brought me up to a new level of thinking and technique and all that. And then And then moved back to Marietta '03, and I had a goal when I moved here to eventually open my business. And it got a little off course, but we got back on it, and then here we are 9 years later into the opening of my shop.
Wow.
Unfortunately, my father passed away, and he had a health life insurance plan. My brother and I were beneficiaries too. It wasn't a whole lot, but at the time I was living out in the country, and I needed a decent car. I had a bad car, so I gave it a lot of thought and decided that buying a reliable car was the best route.
Mm-hmm.
And then that car we brought to Marietta one day to have the windows tinted. And while it was tinted, we decided to go through a walk and wound up on the west side and seen a for rent sign in the building that we're standing in right now. And it seemed like magic. And then like, man, I got to call this number.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and had breakfast, called the gentleman who happened just to live right down the street. And we met him here after breakfast, and it needed a lot of work, but we came in, looked around, and it was a deal. And I was like, my wife and I were talking, and I just bought that car, and that was some of the money that we had. And we're like, well, let's just get started. We'll figure it out. Okay. And so ended up taking a loan out on the car, and the rest is history.
I have to say, just by looking around, this is definitely the most intricate and creative, and probably the most beautiful tattoo parlor, tattoo shop that I've ever seen.
Wow,
So again, make sure to go over to the YouTube thing, because I'll be taking some pictures and some videos of just some of the amazing artistic things that are around the shop. It's a trip looking around. I mean, while you're sitting in the chair, I know I sat there for about 3 hours, and there's so much stuff on the walls to kind of take your mind off of the bee sting feeling.
It's the whole idea.
Yeah, it's awesome. How many hours do you think that you spent building from an empty shell to this?
Oh, well, 9 years. I mean,
you're never happy, right? You're never done.
You're always adding stuff and fixing things and changing. Like last year, we went through a big renovation where we got rid of a bunch of walls and opened up the whole workspace. Mm-hmm. And I reinvest my money into my business, and I decorate the outside with murals, and it's my pride and joy right here.
Yeah. There's no way that you can come across the bridge to the west side and not see the artwork like immediately, and it's a great welcoming to, like, you're literally the first thing people see when you cross that bridge.
That was the whole point. Yes, I wanted to greet people, and that's why you see West Side up above my shop in the murals. I wanted to give kudos to the West Side. Everybody over here has just been so generous and welcoming, and the city of Marietta has gone above and beyond to make my dream come true and make the process as easy as possible. And
I've met so many amazing local business owners, and just everybody's just been so nice and welcoming and helpful and sharing each other's posts. It really is an amazing small community that we have. That it's all symbiotic. I always say this, it's all symbiotic. It's all love. It's everything that I do will help Wit and Whimsy. Everything that Wit and Whimsy does will help the brewery. And it's all for the benefit of everybody's families and our local economy. And we couldn't do it without each other.
Exactly.
That's why there's not nearly as much drama in downtown Marietta, because we're all on the same page, or at least the ones that I've met so far.
You got the same goal. And
yeah. So what would you say, now that you're your own business owner and you've been up and running here, is your biggest challenge as a business owner?
In all honesty, probably just trying to keep everybody happy and like what we do here. Yeah. You obviously can't please everybody, but when I wake up every day, it's my chore for the day, among other things. But and with the internet and Facebook and all that, it can be kind of difficult navigating some of this. And
yeah, social media is just one of those things that we need it. We live by the sword, we die by the sword.
Yeah, it's a necessary evil.
Necessary evil. We're never going to make everybody happy, but we do our best to kind of stay neutral, and we hope every day when we wake up that we wake up to positive things.
Yes,
because
amen.
It's not like we're going to bed every night tucked in thinking that we've had it made. Every day is like starting fresh again.
Nothing's promised tomorrow.
Just when you think that, okay, we've succeeded. Now I can coast for a minute. There's none of that. There's never a moment.
And when you do coast, that's when things hit the fan.
Yeah, that's when employee issues may happen, or quality control dips, or social media. Yeah, you got to stay on top of everything all the time. It's exhausting, but it's the life that we chose, and I know I wouldn't.
Even when I'm asleep, I dream about it.
Same here.
It's 24
insane.
hours a day.
I'll wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning. I have a notepad app on my phone, and it has like 15, 20 different pages of just ideas, things that I need to remember to do. And I'm sure every one of us has something similar to that. April 5th is your next First Friday in downtown Marietta. I will be having my good friend and amazing singer-songwriter Sean Benfield down from the Beckley area. If you like alternative country and outlaw country, you will love Sean Benfield. Make sure to check him out on Spotify, Bandcamp. I will put some links down in the description of this podcast. Check him out, and he will be in store from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on April the 5th for First Friday. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about tattoos. What tattoo that you have on your body would you say hurt the worst to get?
That's an easy one. I have the inside of my right bicep tattooed, and it's about a 5.5, maybe 6 hour tattoo from my elbow and gets into the armpit, and pretty much every second of that tattoo was excruciating. The guy that did it for me, his name was Will down in Cocoa Beach, and he wasn't real gentle.
Oh.
And back then we didn't have fancy armrests and stuff, so a lot of us we'd bend your arm right over our knees.
Yeah.
So I'm laying in this old dentist chair with my arm over his knee, and he's tugging on my armpit hair, and it's horrible. Oh man.
I know. Even with you at the 2 hour. Around the 2 hour mark, just from the wiping of the excess ink and things like that, it feels like raw, like you're like
sandpaper,
or like you're rubbing literal layers of skin off. And I couldn't imagine sitting in the chair for like some of these real tough guys out there that get 8 to 12, 20 hour tattoos. That's got to be hard, not only on you and your back and your neck and the stress level of not screwing up over that course of time. What would you say is the longest that you've ever given a tattoo without like stopping for a few days or whatever? Like how many hours would you say you've had in the chair?
There's several people that I put in 7-8 hours on in a day. And that was back when I was a lot younger. I couldn't do it.
Do you take breaks?
Yeah, there's breaks. Especially back then I used to smoke. So every hour or so you have to go have a smoke, which made the tattoo take an extra half hour probably. But
yeah.
I try not to take money breaks unless it's absolutely necessary. If the customer needs one, then by all means, but I try not to from my end.
I feel like the breaks are nice, but when you get back into it, it hurts worse because it's had time to if there was any kind of numbness from just going over an area, it goes away. So it's like starting fresh again on an open wound, basically. So yeah, when you were like, do you want to take a break? I was like, I need to adjust the camera, but no, let's just power through it. Yep. We talked about this a little bit on the YouTube side of things. All of these young lil rappers coming out of the woodwork with all these completely random face tattoos. What is your policy on tattooing faces here, and how do you feel about it as a 50 plus person who's done tattoos for 30 years of your life?
Yeah, if somebody comes in here and they're not already heavily tattooed or anything on their face, we're not going to do it. If you look like me, then yeah, why wouldn't we? But no, we have to use some discretion, and we do have a degree of responsibility. We had a female come in recently that already had facial tattoos, among being heavily tattooed. So yeah, it wasn't an issue tattooing her face. Young kids that don't have any visible tattoos or just aren't heavily tattooed yet. Yeah, I'm not tattooing your face or your hands. You got to earn them, in my opinion.
I asked my wife, I was joking with her, and I said, where do you want me to get this tattoo? And she was, pointing at that spot on my arm where we ended up doing it. But I was like, I was thinking about getting the one on my neck or right here on my hand. And she's like, no.
Not yet.
There are some limitations to what she's okay with. What would be some advice that you would give to somebody who's younger, who's thinking about getting their first tattoo?
If you would ask me a couple years ago, I'd say get something that means something to you, but I don't think that really matters anymore. But I think the most important thing would be Because no matter what, you get something and you're young, you're not going to like it like when you're our age. But I would be more careful about where you go and where you're putting it. Go to a reputable shop. Look at their work, check out their shop and photographs and reviews. Make sure you're going somewhere that it's professional.
Yeah, when you walk in here, I'll say as a first timer in the door, it smells like a doctor's office. It has the smell of care and cleanliness. You see the certificates of trainings all over the place. There's no smoke smell. There's no dirt. I mean, it literally feels like you're walking in to a very kooky doctor's office.
Perfect, thank you. That's what kind of I was aiming for. Something in between,
Yes, because I mean, I've walked into a certain tattoo place. I mean, it was this place has been bulldozed, but you go in, there's people sleeping on the couches. Yeah. It's dark. Like when you turn on the lights, cockroaches scatter. I've even had a tattoo done in a trailer out in the backwoods somewhere.
Actually, I have too.
Yeah,
it wasn't in the woods, but it was in a trailer.
But as a mature, older person, and same for me, biggest piece of advice is go somewhere reputable, clean.
Yes.
Last thing you want to do is end up with a nasty infection, TB, any of that stuff that could be floating around. So you don't have to worry about any of that here. I can guarantee I walked in and was immediately put at ease.
Oh, good.
But bouncing off of that, tell me some of the worst tattoos that you've given. Some of the things that you wish you didn't have to do, and you just had to grin and bear it.
Well, one of them is it's not really a specific one, but when people try to put too much into a small tattoo, like putting a bunch of names in there or trying to hide names for some reason, it's kind of like it's just a bad idea because it's not going to look good in a few years. Yeah,
especially as you get older and your skin stretches.
Yeah, and they get blurry, and then if you got a whole bunch of stuff in there, you're just kind of a big dark spot on you, and no one's going to know what it is.
I don't know. I'll let you to describe it. What you would consider a horror story from the tattoo chair.
Well, the ones that I could talk about. One of my favorites is I was a young tattooer in Cocoa Beach, and I had a woman come in who was a little older than me and a friend, and she wanted a heart with the name Larry and a banner on her rear end. I'm like, okay, sure, we can do that. And we get it ready, and I'm starting to tattoo it. Well, the door opens up. Well, guess who walks in? It's Larry, and he doesn't know what she's getting. It's Cocoa Beach. It's hotter than hell, and he comes in there, and he's all sweaty. He walks in, and he walks over and leans over, and her part of her rear end is exposed. I'm sitting there, I say, hey, how's it going? And he looks over to see what she's getting, and you could see it dawn on him in his face. Like, he's just like, oh, no, she's getting my name on me. And then he got really weird, and it was awkward, and he leaves. And she's like, what's wrong? Why do you think he was acting like that?
She's about to get dumped, isn't she?
Well, yeah. I was like, lady, he doesn't want to see his name on you. He's probably not in the commitment like you are. I mean, maybe not those specific words, but that, this is 30 years ago. And I was like, cringy. Yeah, he's not into it. And then we finished the tattoo, and literally the next day, I wish I could remember her name, but she comes walking in and wanted me to cover up his name. And asked me out on a date. It's like, well, it's too early to cover it up, and I'll have to turn you down. Sorry, no, thank you.
The wounds of Larry are too fresh.
Poor Larry. Oh man, bless his heart.
Oh, Larry.
That was funny. It was a good time.
What is the most unique or weird thing you've ever tattooed on somebody?
I've tattooed everywhere except for the male genitalia. So I'm trying to be clean here, but
Understood.
Pretty much everywhere, really. The top of the head or the bottom of a foot. I mean, and pretty much everywhere in between.
Both of those sound extremely painful places,
even
especially
like the female areas. I've
really
done a few. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's strange, but I've done it.
Okay, and what would you say would be the weirdest thing that you've ever tattooed on somebody?
Actually, I did it on my cousin first. We did a large tattoo on him, and we used the ashes from his mother's cremation in the ink. So that was kind of neat.
So he's a mother's boy.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, that was kind of neat. It was my aunt, but But yeah, we would each time we worked, it was a big sleeve. So anytime we'd work on it, we had to autoclave the ashes and make sure they were sterile. But yeah, you sprinkle some in there, mixed in. And,
You know, there's a company out there that actually takes somebody's ashes and puts them inside of a vinyl record, so you can actually spin a record.
Yeah, see, that's cool.
Yeah.
They make them into diamonds and all kinds of stuff.
Is there anything that you wouldn't tattoo on anybody? Are there things that you draw the line at?
Oh, absolutely. Not many, but obviously we won't do racist tattoos of any kind. Even Confederate flags we won't do. I just turned a kid down just recently. He seemed a little upset about it, and it's something to do with heritage and blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, that might be for you.
Yeah.
But that symbol, what it represents now,
To some people.
I'm not willing to do that to you.
Right. Because he'll go down to the local pub and show it off and tell 10 people where he got it from. And then next thing you know, certain people who take it a certain way would say something about you for allowing it. So I respect completely
any
boundaries.
Maybe any kind of hardcore drug related stuff, but
this area is. We don't need any more remembrances of that.
Enough, not too many people ask for it, but it has come up. Like a pot leaf or something's fine, but it's mostly racist tattoos. And then when I lived in larger cities, we wouldn't do gang-related tattoos. We have that issue here, but
yeah, the only graffiti in this town's usually penises and cuss words.
Yeah, so and I would do that. That'd be cool. I've done it before.
How about a phallic drawing with the F word written across?
Sure, as long as you can hide it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have cuss words tattooed on me. I don't have any wieners, but I do have a cuss word.
We have really got off the rails.
Yeah. Anyway, let's back it up.
Okay, so back to the podcast, because I'm definitely going to have to. I don't know. I'm probably going to keep it all in. I think it's too cool.
If I'm laughing, we're all laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so back to business. How has things been going at the location since let's say the pandemic and forward? What is the usual day like here? How far of a wait do you guys have out? How many tattoo artists do you have here at any given time and things like that?
Right now, it's we just added two fantastic artists. They came in right at the end of summer, early fall, which typically kind of starts to peter out a little bit. The business slows down a little bit, so we're getting them back in. And so with five of us all together, wait times are pretty. They've gone down quite a bit. I believe I'm out until I think I might have a spot left in June. It'd be my earliest, and then.
But I got super lucky to get in on your day off. So thank you so much.
I pulled some strings with the boss, and.
How does business seem to pick up during the summertime when there's a lot more foot traffic? People, more people out walking, and
summers are better. Like typically, winter. Holidays. Sometimes you get a little rush around the holidays, but you get a lot of people buying gift cards and gift certificates.
That's how I got my last two. So, that and tax return time. I know. I used to save up for
March,
tax return.
It gets crazy. This Saturday, it was nuts. I mean, phone was ringing off the hook, and we was able to take some of the walk-ins, but it was just we had to turn a lot of people away. We just couldn't get to everybody.
Yeah.
But.
Well, you got a busy fall schedule coming up. There's two big events that you guys are hosting and being a host store for. Those are both going to be coming up in September, correct?
Well, the first one, the Oddities Convention, which a gentleman named Sean is putting on, a promoter, and we've talked and teamed up. We're helping, being one of the sponsors and a host shop. So he's from out of town, and that's September 20th to the 22nd at the Fairgrounds in Marietta. We have information on our Facebook page if anybody wants to be a vendor. And then we got that going on, which, as far as I know, it's the first convention ever in Marietta, so we're really excited.
Yeah, he's looking to have a couple hundred tattoo artists, oddities. Let's talk about the oddities. Like, what kind of things can people expect?
You get a lot of taxidermy, skulls and decorative stuffed animals, taxidermy, handmade jewelries.
Local artists and things like that?
A lot of local artists. Yeah. You can, like tarot card reader, anything that's out of the norm, basically, and strange. And
it may seem really far away, but right now they're really looking to book as many vendors in as they can possibly get.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in being a tattoo artist or a vendor at the fairgrounds in September's 20th through the 22nd, the event is called the Wonders and Oddities Expo. Who should they reach out to, and how can they be part of the event?
His name's Sean Alexander, and if you go to our page, you might have to scroll down a little bit, but there's a link to where you can reach out to him and get scheduled and the deposit for the space. I think there are 10 by 10 spaces for the tattoo booths, but you can buy multiples where you have 10 by 20. But Sean, and you can go to the link off of our page, and we'll be sharing it more and more in the future too, and get as many people there as we can.
And when I post this to go live, I'll make sure to add that link in the actual podcast description down below, so you guys can go straight there from the podcast, and also make sure to follow Monkey's Uncle Tattoo on Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
Okay, and you had what's the other event that you specifically put on?
That's the Bazaar. This will be our fifth one. We missed 1 year because of COVID, but this is our fifth. And basically, it's the first Sunday of October. I think it's the 6th this year. I haven't checked, but basically, it's kind of the same thing with the oddities. That's what we aim for, is getting the strange and unusual as much as possible. And basically, it's 10 by 10. Usually, most people will bring a canopy, and just set up in our parking lot, and just get as many people here and enjoy the crafts. And October 6th, it's the first Sunday of October. Oh,
my favorite week of the year is
exactly.
We got married on September 30th, and we vacationed or honeymooned the first week of October. So that week, September 30th through the first week of October, is literally the best weather you could ask for. Because I'm not a hot guy and I'm not a cold guy. I like that early fall weather. That's absolutely the perfect time to schedule something outdoors for people.
That's when my wife and I got married October 1st, 2011. Yeah, and it was 49 and rained all day.
we were.
That was the high. It was 49.
Yeah, luckily ours was indoors, but I believe it also rained, but it didn't affect anything on our end. And they always say that it's good luck to have rain on your wedding day. So,
well, I've had the luckiest marriage that I've ever heard of. Luckily, we was inside, but it rained all day. Yeah. Wonderful.
All right. Is there anything else you want to bring up before we sign off?
Not that I can think of. Just we appreciate everybody and how welcoming everybody's been to us, and we'll just keep doing what we do and keep everybody happy if we can.
All right. And with that, guys, we're going to sign off. I want to thank you very much for listening. And Chase, thanks for allowing me into your store. And not only that, but the amazing piece of artwork. Make sure to follow the YouTube page at First City Podcast on YouTube for the exclusive behind-the-scenes footage of him giving me this amazing tattoo and me trying to conduct an interview while I was in a little bit of discomfort. Nothing I couldn't handle, of course. So we're going to send it back to the studio now. And thank you very much, Chase, for the interview.
Thank you, sir.
Your spot for all the new releases, pre-orders, and all the things that we carry in our store is firstcityrecordstore.com. Make sure to head over there and check out all the things that are coming up in the pre-order section. And we have most of our inventory online now, and we're continuing to add more and more titles every day. Some of the other events that we got coming up, Rex Manning Day, that is related to the movie Empire Records from the 90s, and they're the reason that I wanted to open a record store. Rex Manning Day is on April the 8th. We will be doing a celebration all day long that day. Show up in the store dressed up in your best 90s gear, and you'll get a discount. We're going to have an air guitar contest. We're going to be showing the movie at 7 p.m., and it's completely free. Bring a nice comfy chair or whatever. We're going to be watching the movie and be listening for details on how to get a copy of the Empire Records soundtrack. You can have a chance to win it that day. It goes for over $100 on the secondary market, and I have a sealed copy that I will be giving away on Rex Manning Day. After that, we got Taylor's Tortured Poets Party. We have our exclusive store shirt on a timed pre-order. You need to get your pre-orders in for those shirts now if you want one for the time that the party happens. Make sure to check out the event page. It has been updated by Rebecca with some of the details about the dress and things like that, and some of the things that we got going on. I have a autographed Taylor Swift vinyl that I will be giving away at that event. Stay tuned for details on how to win that. After that, Record Store Day. The very next day is Record Store Day. Doors open at 8 a.m. Line up as early as you want. We did have a great podcast related to Record Store Day with Elmer. Go back and check that one out. But we're going to be talking more about Record Store Day next week and how I'm going to handle it in our store. And final shameless plug, go back to our YouTube channel to watch all of our exclusive YouTube videos, including the one for this episode where I get the tattoo from Mr. Chase, and watch me grimace a little bit at certain points while I was asking some of these oddball questions. So make sure to go over to YouTube and find First City Podcast on that. And of course, the podcast is streaming on all of the best podcasting channels out there. So I want to thank you guys very much for listening to the show. Come and check us out at First City Records, 166 Front Street. And before we go, I will mention that along with spring being the season of peace and love, we are going to be updating our hours starting this coming Sunday. We're going to be open on Sundays from noon to 4 p.m. and we're extending our weekday hours. Instead of closing at 5, we're closing at 5:30. That'll give people that extra little time after work to stop in and pick up the things that they were looking to get and maybe couldn't get off work. So 10 a.m. to 5:30 during the week, 10 to 6 on Saturdays, and noon to 4 on Sundays starting this coming Sunday. You all have a great week, and thank you so much for listening.